I'm Allison Van Hooser, and I'm on a sold-out mission to develop highly successful leaders at all levels. In the 15 years I've been working throughout the food, financial, retail industries, and politics, I have become deeply aware of the powerful effects of leadership. In each episode, you will get strategies and actions you can use immediately in order to change you, your team, and your business. The question is, will you choose to own it? Will you put your stake in the ground and decide to do something with what you've learned today? This is Stake, the Leadership Podcast. Do you have a poor performing employee? These 7 questions we're going to talk about today will help you know if it's time to motivate or terminate that employee. Let's dig in. So sometimes it's difficult to know if, as a leader, you should work to continue to motivate your employees that are performing poorly, or if it's finally time to terminate them. And at times, you may legally be required to terminate an employee. Other times, when you're in this position where you have to decide whether to motivate or terminate a poor performing employee, it's an intangible test of leadership, a test of your communication, your interpersonal and organizational skills. We're about to dig into these 7 questions to help you navigate the situation. Now, are these all the questions you should be asking? Absolutely not. We do deep dive leadership development training with managers and supervisors across the country where we discuss other questions. But these are questions that will help you become a better leader to both the best and the worst performing employees. So let's start with number 1. First question, why did you hire them? Think about your employee. Why did you hire them? When you're in the trenches with a poor performing employee, it's easy to forget the magic that was there when you were in the interview with them. The thing is that something had to make them stand out. That's why you hired them, right? I want you to, as a leader, remind yourself to view that employee through the positive lens you first saw them through. When you do that, you're going to shed a new light on the performance issue at hand, and that's going to help you internally find the energy to work to motivate them to perform better. Now, question number 2. How was their last performance appraisal? First, hopefully their last official performance appraisal wasn't a year ago. Annual performance reviews aren't the best. Semi or quarterly performance reviews are much better. Now, with that being said, I want you to ask yourself, how was their last performance appraisal? Did you discuss their performance issue? Now, if you didn't discuss the issue in the last review, now is the time to make the conversation official. It's hard to know whether to motivate or terminate a poor performing employee if you aren't even both on the same page about their performance. Making it official ensures that both of you know, both of you realize that there is an issue going on, so no one can say, I didn't even know that I was doing that wrong or that this wasn't working. It's getting you both on the same page. Question number 3. How much influence does that poor performing employee have in the organization? If you're dealing with someone whose word and performance, they carry a lot of weight on the team, it's even more important that you as a leader handle this situation correctly. An employee that has a big influence, a large influence, has the power to positively impact, or as I like to say, negatively infect your entire organization, especially if everybody else is being affected by their poor performance. Leaders must communicate with the team. Communicate in a very calculated way how you're dealing with the situation of poor performance. If it's affecting everyone, they need to see that you, as their leader, are taking action. You can do that in a confidential and professional way. Number 4, should you consult a higher leader in the conversation about the employee? Here's the thing. If I'm just keeping it real, we all get tired of people sometimes, right? Now, maybe you hear that and laugh, but you know it's true. We're all human. We only have so much patience, so much bandwidth to deal with something. So if you are exhausted with the situation, maybe you feel like you just don't know what else to do. Well, then the next right step is to get a second opinion. And what I want you to hear me on very clearly, very carefully right now is that when you get that second opinion, go up the organizational chart, not down. Don't talk about another employee to their coworkers. If you need help with something, go up to leadership. Go to your leader and discuss the situation. Number 5, do you know the poor performing employee's strengths? Here's what I know. A leader should understand their direct report strengths. People who directly report to you, you should know intimately their strengths, and you should be playing to those. If you want to earn the best performance from your people, your employees, you need to make sure that you have them in roles that play to their strengths. It's possible that in the situation you're in, if you have a poor performing employee, you don't need to terminate them. You need to move them to a position that fits their strengths. Question number 6. What are their goals within the organization? Do you know where your employee wants to be in the next 1, 5, 10 years and more? And if you do, if you know where that place is that they want to be, does their current role help them achieve their goals? Do they understand how their current role fits into preparing them for the future they want? If you answer no to any of those questions, it's time to get talking. And I would say even more importantly, it's time to start listening. If the position that they're in is not feeding them towards their goals, that could be the root of why they are not performing at the level they either once were or that they could be. Finally, the last question for today. Have you asked the employee to evaluate their own performance? And I don't mean on paper. I want to, in a conversation, does the employee see what is going wrong and how it affects them, their coworkers in the organization? And I'll take that a step further. They may see the effects of their performance, but do they truly understand them? Ask the poor performing employee to answer that question for you. Do you tell me how you think you're performing when it comes to blank, whatever the issue is? And then ask questions that are going to go deeper to make sure they really understand how their poor performance affects themselves, how it affects their coworkers, and how it affects the organization. So I'll leave you with this. I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. These are not all the questions leaders should be asking when it comes to poor performing employees. These are just a few. These questions are going to help you sort of test your leadership. And if you can do them correctly, if you're bold enough to ask them, you could level up your own leadership. The question is, as it always is, will you put your stake in the ground and take action on what we talked about today? It is my hope that you do. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For the links to everything mentioned in this episode, check out the show notes. And if you'd like more practical, tactical leadership development content, go to www.vanhooser.com for my weekly blog and all the links to my social media channels. If it makes sense to start improving the leadership skills of your managers and supervisors, let's talk about training options for your team. Email me at allison@vanhooser.com.